All right, what up, y'all? It's Matt. So I'm working on my Suzuki Vinson four-wheeler project behind me here, and y'all can check out the previous part up here. I'll link to it so that y'all can see what we worked on before this. But I'm going through the whole thing, fixing it up, and I just did the front bearing, put new bearings in the front wheel hubs, and I was like, yeah, the CV boots. I got it down this far. Might as well look at them. So I tugged on them, pulled the axle straight out. And sure enough, the boots were questionable to the point where I was like, do I put it back together or do I wait? So I waited per usual, and I got some new parts down here because they were cracked through. I'll show you. They're on the ground here. But I got new parts here. I don't like doing things twice, obviously. So let's get the new parts, the new boots on the old CV axles. All right, so here's the old one. You can see it's all cracked up. Yeah. It's I could snap it through, but I'm not going to. I'm going to save it as a spare. So these are original NTN boots. You can see OEM NTN boots, but yeah, it's worse than it looks on camera. I mean, it's split halfway through. It's on the verge here. So there's that one. These ones, they look pretty good. The inside ones, well, I lied. This one doesn't, but the other one does. They're on their way out. So, why do it twice? That's my thinking. So here's the other CV down there, out of focus. All right, so I got the kits right here with the CV boots. There's 4 of them in here. There's 2 different sizes. So this is the small one, and this is the large one, longer one. My reasoning behind this is the long one goes here, and the short one goes here because there's a more full range of motion. So this goes in and out, in and out this way, and pivots every which way. This just fixed right here and just pivots. It doesn't go in and out like that. So it makes sense the longer one goes right here because it has to, have more flex. That's what I think it goes. I'll look it up before I do it, but let's see what you get in here. You get the little boot, 2 little boots, 2 big boots, and CV grease. It looks like macaroni in here. Macaroni and cheese, but I assure you it's not. And then you get the clamps. So this type of clamp, you have to have the tool to pull down on. We're not using these. We're reusing the old ones. So on the old ones here, you can see right here, you pull it off, and it's got like a pivot. It's like a hinge, and it puts pressure back down on here. So it's like, hinged, and you got to push it, clamp it. That way it clamps nice and tight. We're reusing that. I'm not fooling with that, trying to pull them tight. I don't have the tool, so I'm not fooling with it. All right, so this was a pretty good deal for this. There's 4 in here. I paid $50 for them. Individually, they're like $15 or whatever, and you need 4 of them for this vehicle because it's got a solid rear axle and independent front suspension. So that means 2 boots on this side, 2 boots on that side, so 4. And there's 2 little ones and 2 bigger ones. So I got this on eBay. I'll put links in the description where y'all can find a kit on Amazon. If you just need 1 or 2 boots, I'll link to that too. But I'll put links in the description where y'all can get them on Amazon. All right, guys, enough talking. Let's get started. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and get all this old grease cleaned up out of here and wash it out with some old gas. All right, so I got this whole thing cleaned up here, and I got the old clamps right here. So you can see this is like a hinge type. It's just, you know, like that. And then when you squeeze down on it, it puts pressure, you know, it just clamps down. But you can reuse those. But they weren't sealing that great when I did the other side. So, all right, so here's the clamps that they give you in the box. There's the little one for the inside and a big one for the outside. So when you first look at them, you think, oh, you can just, you know, pull them tight or whatever with pliers and do something like that. But I don't think that really gets it tight enough. So basically you just, you know, put 2 loops around the clamp or around the outside of the boot, and then you pull it tight. It's a special tool. You bend it back over those tabs, hammer it all down, you know, and it's done. So I made a little tool here so that I can tighten it down sufficiently, because I wasn't happy with how tight I could get it, you know, just pulling on it with pliers or even trying to do it like a twist it up with the needle nose pliers. It wasn't good enough. So I made a little tool here. I'm going to show y'all real quick. All right, guys, so check out this tool I made real quick right here. So I know it's disgusting. That's fine, but it works, and it took me 2 seconds to make, and then I just cut a slit in a bolt. So all this is, you know, a piece of scrap 1/8 inch steel, and then 2 square weld nuts. And then what you do is you put this in here. I'll show you this when I do it, but it goes right in there like that. And then this basically sits up against here like that. And then you wind it up and it gets it tight. And then you bend the whole thing over. I don't want to do it because I'm going to mess this thing up, but you bend the whole thing over like that and just hit it with a hammer. So it's just a bolt cut in half, 2 nuts welded on a piece of flat steel, and I rounded the corners so that it didn't cut the boots. And it works awesome. I'm about to do it here and show y'all how it works. I'm working on this thing, and there's a concept that I've seen in service manuals here that no one's really talked about. I mean, it kind of matters, it kind of doesn't matter, but these snap rings are directional. So this is going to be extremely hard to catch on camera. I'm going to have to get it super close so that y'all can see this, but there's a flat side and a rounded side to snap rings, and most people don't realize that. So I've seen in service manuals, I've seen where it says, you know, I've seen this on multiple different things, like my tiller, this 4-wheeler, just different random stuff. They say, oh, put the flat side, you know, towards this or away from this, that kind of thing. And my thinking on it, at least how I've seen it on stuff, is like this, for example, this CV axle. I'm tempted to put, the way I would do it is I'd put the flat side away from that, because I want the flat side to kind of, I want the flat side to kind of dig into the shaft this direction, you know, because it's trying to keep this from coming off. If I put the rounded side down, you know, like that, it might pop off. It's not going to pop off, but that's the kind of thinking that they want, you know, that they go through when they do this, I guess. But I'm going to show you all the rounded side of this and the flat side of this, if you can even see it on camera. So, can I even see it? So that's the flat side right there. And then that's the rounded side right there. So you can see how the edge is rounded. Maybe I'm totally wrong in this. You know, I've never really stopped taking that long to think about why they want you to do that. It's just something I keep seeing, so I'm taking a second here to think about it. Let me know in the comments if y'all have ever seen this before in manuals. But my thinking behind it is, and it doesn't say on this axle, they don't care. It's only like really, really specific stuff, like really specific applications where they care. but on this axle, it doesn't matter. So, like on the little water pump shaft that's down inside the motor, they're like, if you take any snap rings off and don't reuse them, throw them away because they lose some of their springiness, and put the sharp side towards blah blah blah. So my thinking behind it on something like this is, well, I kind of want the sharp side because the groove is I kind of want the sharp side to dig in that way, right? So if I put it on here, with the sharp side facing out, then when it's resisting that even more. I don't know. That's just how I'm going to do it. I've seen it on a bunch of stuff. I figure I just take 2 seconds and make a quick video here and let me know if y'all have ever seen that anywhere. All right, so I got it cleaned up. That's cleaned up. Here's the other part of the bearing. That's cleaned up. The inside of there's cleaned up. It's all cleaned up except that little hog ring thing there. But I got a new snap ring for the end of it. So I'm going to take this goes on like that. So imagine like that with this little recessed part. This part goes in towards the inside of the shaft like that. So I got a new snap ring for the end of there. I'm going to put it with the sharp side of the snap ring facing out that way. I'm going to show y'all how I use this little tool thing I made. And enough talking. We're going to have to pack it full of grease. If you aren't using this kind where you can undo them, then make sure you slide these over the shaft, because if you don't slide them over the shaft before, you're out of luck. All right, let's get this thing done. Oh, and one more really, really important part is when you do this right here, when we do this, we're going to have to measure it and make sure it's on this vehicle, it's 7.5 inches at least from the end of here to the middle of the band, because they want atmospheric pressure in there, so they want some air in there so that it's not fighting itself or suctioning down and doing weird stuff. All right, when you put this ring back in here, make sure it doesn't line up with one of these holes. Make sure it's off to the side. Like that. Not like that. All right, that's done. This tool worked perfectly, as you can see. So on this one, they want to vent it to atmospheric pressure. So we got to stick a screwdriver in here and get some air in there until it's 7.5 inches from the center of the band to the end of the shaft. It's not that hard, but you got to put one clamp on there because if you don't, you'll fight with it. But you can hear it when I pull it out. It's going to go, it's going to get some air in there. All right, so it's all done now, and you can see I clipped it so it wouldn't rub up against the boot in certain spots like that. And, you know, like that right there, I clipped the corners off so that it wouldn't rub up against. But the whole thing is you want it so when it rotates, this is forward like that. You see if a stick or a branch or something gets in there, it's not going to break it. But if this was the rotation, it would get there and it would hit that and rip it off. So the idea is, you know, it's smooth in the direction of rotation. But this thing's done now. All right, y'all, so this is done. I'm not going to bore y'all putting it back together in this video. That's a separate video because I got to put new brakes and wheel bearing hubs and torque it all and do all that fun stuff. That's a whole nother video. But it wasn't that bad to do. It took longer to explain it than to do it. On the first one, you know, it's trial and error. The second one, you're good. If you got a Grizzly 700 like this behind me with the independent front and rear suspension, then, you know, you got like 4 different axles, 8 different boots, you know, that would be fun to do. It's not that hard to do it. It takes not long at all. It's just getting to it. You got to tear the whole machine apart to get them out. So that's the fun part. But the thing that saved me the most on this was this tool I made. This tool saved me the most right here because all I had to do, like you saw, I just put it in there and wound it up, and then I just cut them, hammered it over and cut them, and it worked great. Without this, I would be out of luck because I didn't want to buy the real tool. If you want to buy the real tool, I'll post links in the description where you can get it. It's cheap, but I didn't want to wait around, you know, for that. I just whipped this up in about 2 seconds, welded these nuts on here, and, you know, cut a slit in this bolt, and that saved me huge. All right, guys, so that's it for this part. Make sure you hit the subscribe and hit the bell so that you get notified when I post the next part. And drop me a huge thumbs up down below if that little tool trick I did, the little tool I made, if that helped y'all out. I know it helped me out. And don't forget to comment down below and all that fun stuff. Links in the description to all the parts and the real tool. I'm out, y'all. Peace.